in an interview with GQ, Alex Smith, some surprising comments about what he believed the Washington football team was hoping he would do or not do last year. He said, when I decided to come back, I definitely threw a wrench in the team's plans. They didn't see it, didn't want me there, didn't want me to be a part of it, didn't want me to be on the team, the roster, didn't want to give me a chance. Mind you, it was a whole new regime. They came in. I'm like the leftovers, and I'm hurt, and I'm this liability. Heck no, they didn't want me there. At that point, you can imagine everything I'd been through. I couldn't have cared less about all that. Whether you like it or not, I'm giving this a go at this point. It makes for a compelling final 20 minutes to the inevitable Alex Smith movie, where as he works his way back, he senses that the football team would rather he just go away, collect his guaranteed salary for that year. That's why he was still on the team. His salary was guaranteed. They couldn't cut him, so, hey, you may as well have him on the roster. But they didn't want him to thrive, and he did thrive. It's amazing that that's how it ended up, but it also tells me there's no way he's going to be on that team in 2021.
No, I wouldn't think so. I mean, again, it's a guy who's had an unreal career. I mean, hey, I'm not going to fault the Washington football team, right? I mean, I was like, what? He's going to play? That's scary. And then, I mean, as we talked about many times during the year, I mean, watching him play, I felt like I was watching my son out there, where I was like, oh, gosh, get down, don't get hurt. Oh, get out of the way. Don't let him do that to you. I was always worried about his leg and that whole situation there. So he has, I mean, unbelievable story. There's nothing to say about that. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he came back from. But I don't fault Washington. And, you know, hey, good thing it happened, because they wouldn't have gotten the playoffs without him. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. They were just, you know, obviously dysfunctional at that position. They needed him, and really he was just the right guy for the way that team was set up for this year, to take control, you know, take care of the ball, you know, just take a chance every now and then when I really have to, and play through the defense. And of course it worked out. But I'm with you, Mike. I mean, I want to say please retire. I don't mean that in any disrespect, Alex Smith. I want to just say please retire. It's been a great run. It's awesome. I don't want to see anything else happen. You got back. You played. But I have a feeling he's going to try to go somewhere and be a backup quarterback still. I don't get the sense he's going to retire. Do you?
No, I don't. $19 million in non-guaranteed salary and compensation this year from Washington. He will be cut, undoubtedly. Looks like they won't be working out a reduced deal to allow him to stay. So then where does he go? And this dawned on me a week or so ago. Chicago makes the most sense. It really does. He knows Matt Nagy. He knows that offense. He's thrived in that offense. Whether he's the starter, whether he's the mentor to a younger guy.
Yeah.
But to me, you want to stabilize that position, and you want a guy that Chicago fans could maybe rally around. Now, they may not be thrilled about this angle of we're going to constantly be worried that he's going to get seriously injured again, but I think he addressed that last year. That's not the concern.
Right.
The concern is, does he still have it? I mean, he's been around since 2005. He's been through a lot of different offenses. He's been through a lot of adversity. What did you see from him last year? I mean, this is a guy who came into the NFL the same year as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
There's definitely a gap between the two guys in favor of Rodgers. But what did you see from Smith that would make a fan base say, okay, I can get behind this?
Well, I think he'd be, for me, I'd want, you know, he can manage a football game. You know, he's not going to make any, like, jaw-dropping throws or plays that way. He's really going to play the game very close to the vest and not make a mistake, and really not push the envelope until he really has to. And then it's, oh, okay, now we're down by 4. All right, I'll start to take some chances and things like that. You know, yes, he's not going to excite a fan base. I think more or less, you know, I don't know. There's a part of me that would be like reluctant to want to have him as my true backup. Maybe as like I would want to go like, you know, maybe almost a third stringer type of guy on your roster at this point. Okay, just in case my first 2 go down, now I got him. And I would think it would be a team that you would go, hey, we're kind of a really good football team, and if just disaster hit us, at least we got Alex Smith to manage the football game, and maybe we could still win football games that way. I can't imagine him asking for a ton of money at this point of his career, or really being able to, you know, command a high dollar price or anything like that. but there's nothing on film that's teams are gonna look at and go, oh man, yeah, it's he's got it. The movement is less than, the arm is less than, and I don't mean to say that disrespectful, let alone he doesn't have an aggressive nature to him either. So I'll be interested to see how it kind of plays out and who really wants him, because I do think teams are going to be scared just because of, of course, the injury history and everything about and the way he looked at certain points last year.
What would you think about bringing him back to the Kansas City Chiefs as opposed to Chad Henne or Matt Moore, who's just kind of been hanging around? His arm supposedly was shot 4 years ago, and he's hanging around on that team. Would it make sense to have Alex Smith back in Kansas City, a second set of eyes and ears and another brain for Patrick Mahomes as he continues his development? You could come up with some good arguments to have Alex Smith around for Patrick Mahomes right now.
There's all those are good arguments. The only thing I would say is, man, if he's got to play, it's not his kind of team. He can't throw bombs to McCole Hardman and Tyreek Hill. That's just not his game. That's the reason he's not there. I mean, it really is. They lost that Pittsburgh divisional playoff game, a few years ago when they were the number 2 seed, and it was really his reluctance to push the ball down the field why they didn't, win that football game. But here's another scenario just to throw it out there that I think could make sense, because I think if I'm a head coach, I'm not sure I'd really want him as my backup. Like, I don't think I would. But like a team like the New Orleans Saints, let's say Drew Brees retires. Now you got Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. And maybe, okay, oh man, now we're rolling the dice on Taysom Hill. We're playing Lamar Jackson football and design runs and all that. He's got a banged up shoulder. Now Jameis Winston's in there. All right, well, at least we got Alex Smith behind him, and we can run the old Drew Brees offense with him and still be competitive, and he can buy us some time. To me, that's like the kind of scenario that would jump out more or less.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and there is value there from the standpoint of the kind of teammate he is.
Right.
Almost like the Josh McCown role, the coach
exactly.
who is on the roster, not wearing the polo shirt, but wearing the helmet and shoulder pads, maybe never dressing for a game, but always being there in the quarterback room to keep everyone focused, help hold everyone accountable. I think that's the other part of it, too. You look for a team where maybe there are young quarterbacks that just need the right guidance,
right?
Need the right example of what it means to be a pro. And if your third stringer is showing up early and busting his ass and doing everything he needs to do, then maybe that encourages the young guys to do it and sets the example for them on how to do it the right way.
It's a real thing. There's no question it's a real thing. In my early years of my career, I got to watch, of course, Brad Johnson, but guys like Brian Griese, that was important to me. Okay, hey, yeah, he's, a few years older than me, 4 or 5 years older than me, but I got to see how he approached the game. Jason Garrett, I was in the offseason with him on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got to see what they do and how he approached the game, as a quarterback. And, of course, he had been around Troy Aikman and, the Giants and so many good football teams. Jim Miller, I was also with him. I mean, of course, I was with John Gruden. We collected quarterbacks yearly. We had like a mosh pit of quarterbacks. We had a quarterback room that was 7 feet big. It was 7 feet wide, 7 feet long, and we had 7 quarterbacks in there every year. But it really was a great learning experience for me. I got to see how each one of them kind of approached the game in their own way and how they took time on their own to either get there early or sneak away at this point of the day and watch some film the way they wanted to do it. And there is certainly great value for young quarterbacks and learning from guys like Alex Smith.
What a shock. John Gruden collecting quarterbacks.
Right? Never heard of that.
Last week of John Gruden with his current quarterback and then always having eyes on basically any other quarterback who may be out there. But I have a suggestion this week that Derek Carr is going to get himself a contract extension. So John Gruden, very adept at loving the one he's with, even if he's constantly thinking there may be somebody else out there who will be better for me. The problem is getting them. And I still believe that. I don't want to make this about the Raiders, but I still believe that if something falls into his lap, he'll do it. Alex Smith is not the kind of quarterback that would fall into John Gruden's lap and cause him to dump Derek Carr, but I think Alex Smith will have value this year somewhere. It's not going to be about the money.
Yeah.
It's just going to be about still being around it. And I could see him transition into coaching the way he's been such a great mentor for other quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes raved about him in 2018 when Mahomes took over as the starter in Kansas City. So maybe it'll work out that way.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.